and welcome to a different view of the studio. You're at my desk with me, and what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be working with these little beauties. I haven't used them for a while. I've realized that I actually do have a total obsession with pencils and watercolor pencils, and anyway, all sorts of drawing implements that are water soluble. It seems to be just something that floats my boat. These are the wonderful Faber-Castell Graphite Aquarelle. The thing I love about all of these things is they come with little tins. Gotta love a tin. But I'm just going to complete a page in my sketchbook, so I thought you could come along for that. What we're going to be drawing tonight is this gorgeous little doorway in the church in Lower Slaughter in the Cotswolds from that time I was there with Toby, and I thought we might tackle it together with these fantastic pencils that just come alive the minute that you add some water to them. So come on with me and let's have a go at, not have a go, let's just use them, enjoy and see what results come out with these Graphite Aquarelle by Faber-Castell. So come on, let's get started. Okay, so we're using a little, it's a little Sea White of Brighton A5, I think it's 220 GSM, just a little pad, and it's just a real joy to use. I like the thickness of the paper. Let me see if I can, if I move that up ever so slightly. Actually, that's working okay. There's a little bit of a bounce of the light coming off it. So this is the little tin, the little graphite, I was going to say graphite, but it's graphite aquarelle, and it's got HB, 2B, 4B, 6B, and what's this one, 8B. So I've got them actually in the right order and hadn't even checked that. So what I'm going to do first of all is just begin. Now we're going to obviously keep it this way, and we're just going to begin to sketch out the lines. Now I am because I'm using the pencil, I want to just sort of take my time and get the kind of shape of it. Okay, and we're just sort of finding, so we started with, in some ways, the most difficult part of the structure, and you'll notice at different points. At this point I'm going quite lightly, and I just want to, really the point of today is to complete a little page of my sketchbook and to enjoy myself in the process. So we're just going to work our way through this. Now there's a little point there, so let's move that up ever so slightly, and then across here as well. This is going to connect down, so let's see, we're just finding these different lines, and this is the lovely little bit where you're just sort of beginning to sketch the whole thing out. Now some of these lines aren't matching up quite okay, and that's totally fine with me. This one's going to be harder for me because I find it easier doing the swoop this way. If I was left-handed, I would likely find it much easier the other way. But I also know not to get too concerned and to just work away here. Okay, so then we've got this point here on the dips in, sort of there's a slight line there. Just I always find that the more that you look at it more closely, the more that you really notice what's going on. Just going to pull that in a little bit more. Now this is the the HB is starting to blunt a little bit on me, and actually the line here is becoming even more into this side, so it's leaning in. I'm finding it hard to even describe the things that I'm noticing here. So we're going to just get this in this basic structure of this. This is the notice board this time. So the notice board is giving me just a little bit of perspective. I'm going to get some of these markings in here from this little section here. Now the interesting bit for me then is whenever we get into the darker points, because they're the bits where it really starts to come alive. Now for these flowery little bits of the brickwork, because you can sometimes get really bogged down in the detail of it, and what we want to do is not do that and just simply enjoy being able to capture the thing. Now let me see, so we're going to pull this angle. It's quite severe actually, so let's get that in there, and then this line is coming across here. And then we can join some of these up, and all of this will help to make this look a bit more like itself and hopefully nail a little bit more of that perspective. Okay, the other thing that's going to be really interesting is whenever we add the water into this, that's going to bring a whole other bit of dimension to it, really. So just trying to map out a little bit of the area here. This is sometimes a technique that I would use when I'm trying to get something a little bit more accurately. I will quite deliberately just do like a dot to dot. I'm just correcting that line as I go. So I've just shifted position in the chair there to be able to capture a little bit more of that, the straighter line. Some people really, like, I don't, whenever I'm drawing with ink, I don't do pencil sketch underneath. I find that it really distracts me, and it doesn't, well, it just doesn't help at all in terms of the actual overall feel of the artwork. So it's really nice I quite enjoy sometimes just fiddling away. Now I'm looking that bit closer to see, okay, so what are the details across here? So we've got this kind of crossbar. Now some of this I'm not going to spend too much time on because these details aren't overly important to me. Now they may be really important to you, and I know of a gentleman who's certainly did work in the conserving of like historical buildings and things. So details like this and getting it absolutely accurate, maybe say this was a commission for him, then that would be something that I would want to really capture as accurately as I can. But for me, that's not a massive priority. So we're just going to, now I'm just going to lift this up for a second to see. There probably is much more detail in there in regard to what's going on inside, but for me, I can't see it at this point. So the other thing that's going to help me, actually need to move this down even further. Just realized there's actually another bit to this. So let's capture that. There's that sideline as well there. Coming down just to that point and then tying off quite nicely, just to kind of lean that little bit heavier in that point. So let me switch to the next one, which is the 2B. Anybody else just made that joke inside their head? The 2Bs are not 2Bs. So this is very gentle shading. So the mark making that you're going to get with this is going to be a good bit stronger, which is really nice to work with. Now the other thing that we want to do then is as we begin to, let me just sketch in a little bit more of the detail. Now you may say, well, I want to leave that matte out, and that is absolutely up to you to do that. But I quite like the matte. The matte for me draws it into something that I can connect with, you know, and those little objects for me actually in artwork become really quite important. Now the other thing that I want to do then is, so we've got this really dark line coming across here, and we've also got in the door this splitting of this design with the little arrows. You can see, or you can hear, where I'm concentrating that little bit and just want to try and capture a little bit more of the detail. I don't know that I have ever actually done a video where I am showing, just wanting to capture a little bit more of the detail of the place. And you know, if that isn't successful, that is totally fine. Maybe a little bit frustrated by it, but you know, I want to have learned to just pick myself up and we go again and we capture it again in a different way and try again. But I'm really quite pleased so far with this little drawing. Now, this is really quite small, which is nice. I like working small, and I think the size of the paper that you're working on, and then also the size of the drawing that you're doing is really important. And some people are more confident bigger, some people are more confident smaller. I definitely prefer smaller, but find a real joy in doing things loose and big as well. So you may find you're a bit like me and you enjoy doing both. Okay, so we want to bring this line in a bit stronger, and this line in a bit stronger, and then also we've got this line here being stronger too. Just rounding that out ever so slightly as I do that. Okay, so the other thing then is I've got this little bit, trying to figure out the line there. It's coming to about there, that's about right. Let's go back to the HB just to get a little bit more of that detail. And then cross on this side as well. Just going to turn the page. And I also think that's a very valid thing to do to be able to tackle a certain scene, is to be able to move. Right. That's so strange too, because it feels like it comes straight down here and straight down here. I need to round that off ever so slightly, and straight down here, and then it sweeps off some of these areas here. So we're going to again sweep off this area across there. We've got this little bit of detail, this little bit of detail under here, and within that then are some of the slight brick structures. So what I tend to do with brick is, and also because we know that we're using this and we're going to be adding some water to it, it means that we can literally just suggest. So sorry if I just headbutted and you saw part of my hair there, that can be rather frustrating. And just the same on, just looking in more closely. So then actually what's happening here is there's this kind of line of the brickwork that's going along the top here as well. So just wanting to capture it. You can see how effective that is just to indicate that. Just looking again, I mean, it actually, it's quite interesting just how all of the different bricks fit together. And if you're a expert in these things, then you'll be able to tell me why that is. So just really trying to capture a little bit of that. Now the other thing that I want to do is to notice that these doors are made of planks of wood, and I'm not going to try and observe, okay, here's the distance right between the planks. It's just simply to get these underpinning lines, okay, and then just noticing some of these little shadows there. Okay, so what I want to do now then is move way down. So we're jumping to the 4B. So with the 4B, what we're going to do is darken it way down. So we want this area, just felt like I lost the line a little bit ever so slightly there. And then there's an area across here, which is as dark because of the shadows. So noticing the shadows as boldly as I can without getting completely lost in the detail. Now, some of these lines here, and then there's this other shadow that's coming across there. And then this quite powerful shadow goes across this point. Now I'll be able to darken down some of the detail, and then another shadow that's going right across here. So I am delineating that shadow by just creating a line with it, and there's another shadow. You begin, as you start to notice different aspects of this, then those shadows begin to become clearer to you, to be able to see what's actually going on. So just noticing as I go, some of these shadows here, and then also across this door here, this section, and then it's got lots more shadows. Now, just really want to darken that way down so we're still, can you see how because we have underpinned this with the drawing, then we're going to be able to still see some of the details. So just moving this all the way around here and quite deliberately moving my hand around. And just noticing that there's some, actually that little bit of the shadow across here, and even that shadow. There's more shadow within the shadows. As we, just so much more. This is the bit that kind of fascinates me, just changing the pencil direction here. So that's actually providing almost a little bit of cross hatching there. Okay, it's got the shadow here. We have a shadow happening on this side as well. Just a little bit of a shadow there. And I'm deliberately using this 4B to, because it's slightly blunted as well. And I can just notice a little bit of the shadow on the door as well, in specific areas where it's, the grain of the wood feels like it's been dirtier, probably through hundreds of years of people opening and closing the doors. It's a lovely, lovely space to be in. Just want to get that little shadow in there. Now, the other thing is there's actually, geez, I didn't even notice. There's another notice board across on this side. And just trying to capture that, but the other thing is that this side is completely dark. So there's certain moments in these drawings as well where you feel like, okay, because I have done that little thing, that is going to change it. Let me move up the scale again. Just want to try and get a couple of these. Notice how I fan out the lines. Now this is a little bit sharper because this one, sorry, let me move that back. This one we're just going to get a couple of the lines of the details here of this brickwork. Just noticing that little bit of shadow down there as well, and especially under here. Okay, now do we need to do anything else to that before we add? Just want to find the HB again. There's the HB again, just to be able to, we've got that line there, and there's doing what the Italians would call sfumato, just a very, very gentle, like a softening. Sfumato means this sort of softening appreciation of the you know, the brushwork, and just sort of adding it in very gently. Now, do I want to do anything on that little side there? I don't think so. And I think actually just as I'm doing this, that the thing that will be really helpful is the flat edge brush as I'm going to do this. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do with the pencil work, and I can, let me zoom that in a good bit closer now, just as we're about to add in just some of the water to see what happens here. Now this could be very interesting, and where I want to start is on this brickwork just in the side, and what's instantly going to happen is it will just soften way down. This is a lovely, lovely medium to use. If you have never used it, just want to do this very carefully. just to drag that across. I'm okay with letting that bleed its way down in. Now the other thing that I love about these media, just the same with the watercolour pencil and with the Caran d'Ache, the Neocolor 2, those crayons, is that you can still see the pencil lines. Those things are really important to me. And with this one in particular, what happens is that it just really highlights the lines that you have drawn. Okay, so what we want to do now is just move across to this line here. Just lay more pressure on the brush, just to spread it out and down there. Now I'm going to bring the water quite carefully into this bit here. This is a little round, it's a little round brush from Sostern Green, one of my favourites. So this is much darker now on this side. I'm just going to drag that down. And again, this is also where there's an element where you're drawing with the brush. Just to notice these darker points. Now, again, there's more shadow. Just gently tapping that across, just to be able to appreciate what's going on. Can you see the softness that's coming through it? Just as I pull that down. Okay, now I'm really pleased with how this little brush is tackling this as well, actually, and it's drying quite nicely on this page. So let's just letting some of, now that's bleeding ever so slightly, and I'm okay with that. Just letting it touch the detail and almost no more. Okay, and then this bit here, and we're very, very nearly finished. No splats in this one today. Wanting to do quite a delicate little rendering of this scene. Okay, so there we are. Let me leave that there just for a little second. Really quite pleased with that. Isn't that incredible how the water just causes this lovely gentle softening to the whole thing, and you can notice the difference of the strengths of the base. So obviously the softer the lead, the darker that it actually is. But just look how it works and partners whenever the water's added. Well, this is a totally different view, isn't it? Giving you a bit of a different insight to the actual studio. It was really, really lovely to be able to draw like that. Really, really lovely to do something so sensitively and to watch how the water just seems to dovetail with the graphite pencil that you're using. These, I mean, I don't know why I don't, as he holds it upside down, epic fail. I don't know why I don't use these more. What a lovely way to just take your time and enjoy working in your sketchbook and completing a page. Have permission to use whatever size of paper you like, to take up whatever amount of the paper you want to take up, to draw whatever it is that you really enjoy drawing. I really enjoy doing architecture, and I also enjoy coming away from it and doing landscapes more often, which is what I've been doing more of initially. But this could be another moment and another marker of whenever I jump in back into doing more architecture and detail. I so enjoy drawing like that, as much as I enjoy drawing loosely, holding the pencil in a different way. If you notice, this time I was holding it much closer to the lead or to the point, because that gives me more control. So you can let me know what you think of this video. heartily recommend the Faber-Castell Graphite Aquarelle. They are absolutely fabulous. As always, don't forget to like and to comment. Love reading your comments and answering back. Hit the little bell icon. Don't forget to subscribe. Welcome to all of those who are new to the channel and have just subscribed. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody also who's bought one of my son's little palettes. Now this isn't well, I've got so many different prototypes, but I'll not even show you. Anyway, he's had lots of sales, so thank you so much for those of you who have supported him and I in doing that. That's brilliant. And as always, thanks for watching. You can find out more about me at www.woodwardswatercolours.co.uk. And that's it from me for now, and I will see you sometime soon. Bye for now, everyone. Bye.